In this video, I am answering a question that was sent to me by a YouTube user named Graystar1958, and he had an issue regarding Satanism in the workplace. He told me that he's been a Satanist for a long time, and that where he works, he has to deal with Christians and atheists who tend to bully him for his beliefs. And it's a shame because we live here in America where people should have religious freedom. But the fact is that if you're a Satanist, you're going to have to fight for your religious freedom if you decide to come out as a Satanist. When you come out as a Satanist, there's consequences that you have to deal with. Unfortunately. And it's because that we live in a Christian society. And in this Christian-dominated society, people, when they hear the word Satanism, they get frightened, they get scared, they think about things that came from the satanic panic. And unfortunately, Graystar, at his workplace, had to deal with coworkers that were calling him a baby killer. That's a shame, really. It's a shame when people here in America who are supposed to have religious freedom can't express their freedom of religion in the workplace. Now, I know when it comes to working in a workplace, there's a certain type of environment where it's not really a good idea to promote your religion. Like, let's say you were a Christian and you came to work every day with your Bible, and every conversation you had was centered around Bible verses and things like that. People would feel very uncomfortable in your presence. And that's because it's like you're shoving your religion down their throat. But there's a difference between being subtle about your religion and being very open. And I guess it depends on the type of work environment that you're in. Now, I have personal experience with this because a couple of years ago, when I was working in a dance club, I had worked at this place for many years, like 7 years, and the owner died and they ended up getting new management. And at the time, I was hanging out with a friend who was Wiccan. Her name was Athena. Well, me and Athena would go to work every day, and we would sit at the bar, and we would talk about different aspects of the occult. I would bring my tarot cards in, and I would read tarot for the girls there, because the girls at the club love my tarot readings. And every day I wore my pentagram. Every single day that I worked there, I wore my pentagram. I am not ashamed of who I am. And I'm going to live my life according to the way that I feel is right. Well, Athena would also wear her pentacle, her Wiccan pentacle, and she would bring in her witch's Bible, and she would study it because she was just learning about the religion. And I would talk to her about various aspects of the occult, whenever we had time for a break. Well, the new management that came in decided that he didn't want any kind of thing like that in his club. What he did was, he went up to the DJ booth and he deleted every single song that had the word devil in it. He took half the music off of Athena's playlist because it was Marilyn Manson and Rob Zombie and things like that. And he told us that we had to dance to music that was 180 beats per minute for some reason. And this guy acted like he knew how to run a club when he has never ran a club in his life. It was very intrusive because we had things set up the way that we liked it before he appeared on the scene. And he told Athena that she couldn't bring in her witch's Bible and read it during her breaks. And he also told me that I couldn't bring in my tarot cards. And he came so close to actually asking me to remove my pentagram while I was at work. Well, I got very upset over this. And I sat down with Athena and I told her, look, there's something that we can do about this. We don't have to put up with this. So I went on the internet and I went to the ACLU site and I studied what they had to say about religious freedom. I know that the ACLU will help people with lawsuits regarding religious freedom. And I sat down with Athena the next day and we wrote an 11-page report detailing the facts of the situation, detailing the facts that here in America we are guaranteed our religious freedom. And I also told him that since we are there to work and we're there to make money, whatever we do on the side has nothing to do with business and it doesn't interfere with our work. Well, when the manager read that report, he decided to change his mind because he realized that he could get in a lot of trouble for telling us that we could not have our religious freedom. What was so funny was that the next day, when he came to work, I was off that day, but I heard what happened. When he pulled up in the parking lot, the cops pulled up and they arrested him because he had a warrant out. And I thought it was so funny because not only did we end up winning our religious freedom back, that man ended up getting arrested and we have not heard of him since. And for us, it was a victory. Even though we had to sit down and threaten this man with bringing our case to the ACLU, it ended up working in our favor. And when we came back to that club the next day, we had all of our music back. I was wearing my pentagram. She had her pentacle. I brought my tarot cards back in. And everything was like, just like it had been before this guy arrived. So, I think the point of this story is that sometimes you have to stand up for your religious freedom. And when you do, you should study, read, and learn about religious freedom so that you can defend yourself in certain situations. And don't be afraid to go to the ACLU if you need help in your workplace regarding your religious freedom, because it is against the law for somebody to fire you over your religion. It's against the law to put up with harassment from coworkers because of freedom of religion. I feel really bad for Grace Star's situation because this is a bad economy right now, and I know that he probably doesn't want to lose his job, but he's dealing with a very uncomfortable situation where people are being very judgmental. So I would suggest to him to go to that ACLU site and study and learn about your rights, and then exercise those rights. Because when you live here in America, you are guaranteed freedom of religion, even if you have to fight for that freedom. Thank you for watching.